He's R.A. Dickey, former Mets pitcher, former Cy Young winner from a year ago, now with the Toronto Blue Jays. He joins us on the show. Did you watch the end of the hockey last night, R.A.?
Yeah, well, it was incredible.
Where were you?
We were in the clubhouse. We had just finished up with the Tampa game, and we had lost 4-1, and we were in there eating and watching the end of it. And we had been the victims of the Toronto collapse, too. In the clubhouse together, so it was familiar what was happening.
Okay, how big of a hockey fan have you become since you go to a great hockey city like Toronto?
Well, I've had to be intentional with it. You know, I didn't grow up a hockey fan, but we have the Nashville Predators where I'm from. But I would drop by a game or two a year, and that would be it. But when I got to Toronto, I made sure that I became knowledgeable at least about a little bit about it. You know, I didn't even know really all the rules, and since then I've been educated.
Most painful loss you've ever been involved in? Because that was a painful loss last night. The Spurs against the Heat, Game 6, painful loss. Do you have one that stands out?
Well, I do actually. Going back to trying to get in the College World Series, I was on a team with Todd Helton. We were part of the UT team. And we got beat by Arizona State to go to the College World Series in the final game in the ninth inning on a single. I still remember Antone Williamson hit a single to left field off a fastball away. It was painful.
Not that you have replayed that a few times.
No, I haven't.
Well,
Not
it's
at all.
tough, though, because relievers are supposed to have a short memory. You know, what about starters?
Well, you know, Greg Maddux told me one time that one of the keys to success was what you just said, to have a short-term memory and a bulletproof confidence. And I wish I could say that I've perfected that technique, but I'm much more, it takes me a couple of days to process it all out. It takes me a good 2 days. I can't just forget about it right away. As a starter, we have the luxury of having 4 days in between starts. So usually by the time I go at it, like I gave up 6 runs in 6 innings my last start, and by day 2 I was okay.
At what point do you realize you have a good knuckleball when you're warming up?
Well, I kind of feel like about halfway through my bullpen I'll know. But then again, Dan, I've had a terrible knuckleball in the bullpen before and went out and thrown a one-hitter.
But explain that, Ari. The distance between the bullpen session to going to the mound, it's not that far.
No, but when a hitter gets in the box, when a hitter gets in the batter's box from the opposition, for whatever reason, maybe it's a 2% increase, maybe it's a 10% increase, but there's something that happens in between those times that is different. And, I've had good bullpens and thrown good games. I've had good bullpens and thrown terrible games in reverse. But when a batter steps in the box, you amp it up just a little bit, and that can do all kinds of things to your mechanics.
I'm also, I find that fascinating. Guys will be lights out in the bullpen, and then they'll get in the mound, they'll go, I don't know where it went, but it's gone. And the other way around, too, that you can think, I have terrible stuff, and then go out and, as you said, throw a one-hitter. Kids, are taught not to throw a curveball young. Can you throw a knuckleball? At what age do you think kids can actually master the pitch or at least start to learn throw the knuckleball?
Yeah, well, I think a knuckleball is unique because, you're not twisting or pronating or supinating your arm in a way that would really impact your elbow or your shoulder. You're really just gripping it with your fingernails and trying to finish right down the center of your body. So it's a pitch that is a lot less stressful on your arm than a slider or a curveball or even a two-seam fastball for that matter, where you're really pronating to get it to try to sink. It's a pitch that I think the kids could use as a changeup as early as they can pick up a ball and start throwing it, I know my grandfather taught me when I was 10 years old, and I threw it ever since and never had a problem with my arm. So I think I would encourage, if people want to throw it and mess around with it, to start to learn, but your hands have to be a certain size to be able to get it around there the right way.
He's R.A. Dickey, the Blue Jays pitcher, joining us. Dan Patrick Show. Difference between National League and American League when it comes to facing a knuckleball pitcher. Any difference?
Well, I can tell you the difference is right now about 2 runs on your ERA. It's a hitter's league, you're playing, especially the AL East, Dan. It's like you've got smaller ballparks that 2 of the top 3 teams offensively are from the AL East. So you're just dealing with better hitters, 1 through 9 in the lineup. So it's difficult, but it's a good challenge, and I'm certainly happy to be a part of the Blue Jays in the AL East. I think we've got a good shot at winning this thing.
Media scrutiny coverage in Toronto as opposed to New York.
It's probably about 60%, 50% less than New York, whereas we might have 25, 20 people in the clubhouse after a game and before a game, poking around, asking questions. In Toronto, there's probably half that. And things are a lot less inflammatory. You turn to the back page of the Post or the Daily News, and you're going to see some ridiculous headline. In Toronto, it's not as much like that.
I saw where, some people now looking back and saying, well, that Cy Young was a fluke with what's happened in Toronto. What would you say to critics who've sort of questioned what's happened in less than a year's time?
Yeah, well, it's certainly a fair response to the way that my year's gone so far. I also, I'd like to think I had 2 pretty good years before the Cy Young year in New York, but I'm hopeful to get that form back. I've got to work to that end, that's for sure, and I'll keep punching the clock. But I had some injuries early on, Dan, that were tough to deal with. My velocity of my hard knuckleball dropped by about 3 or 4 miles an hour, which contributed to getting hit around a little bit more. But I've got 2.5 years left on my contract, maybe 3.5 if they pick up an option. So, I've got time to figure this thing out, and I've certainly been a lot lower than where I am now and done well. So I'm not panicking.
What are you doing with Dickey's?
Yeah, well, it's been a cool relationship with Dickey's. Not only because we have the same last name, but because Dickey's is a great brand overall. I've teamed up with them to launch the Built to Work Facebook contest, where people can show themselves in Dickey's wear or videos demonstrating how they are built to work. They can win a trip to the World Series by submitting those images and videos. They go to DickeysBuiltToWork.com to enter to win, and it's been a fun relationship because obviously our last names, but it's just been great to be a part of a great brand.
And we should point out Dickey's spelled differently, Dickies, just so they know when they're going to the Facebook page.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to visit with you as always. Keep your head up, and thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it, Dan.
All right, R.A. Dickey, Toronto Blue Jays starting pitcher.